Right. Wonderful. Seeing a lot of familiar faces, or familiar names, familiar folks. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. Why don't we go ahead and get started? You can continue putting um, where you're coming from in the chat. But meanwhile, let's get started because we've got a lot to chat through today, a lot to talk through, a lot to discuss, and we are very excited about this workshop that we're hosting today. So this is the IEA PVPS Agrivoltaics Action Group spring workshop, where we'll be discussing a wide array of different topics that are interested. Many of these topics are issues that you have voted on and you have requested that we address, and so we're very much looking forward to our conversation today. So we've got a packed agenda, which you will see an overview here. We're gonna be lucky enough to have a welcome address from Danielle Mounier, who's the IEA PVPS chair. Then we'll set a little bit of background and expectations for the day and talk a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish with this webinar and with the action group itself. And then we'll have a set of 3 different discussions and brainstorming opportunities. One focused on agrivoltaics terminology and definitions, another one on international networks and collaboration, and the last one on future IEA PVPS agrivoltaics activities. So, and as we had mentioned in the early part of the webinar, as people were coming in, we've had over 200 people register, and we had 49 countries represented for people who have expressed an interest in this. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for expressing interest. We hope this is going to be an exciting discussion and workshop and an overview for you all. And as a warning, this is going to be a non-traditional webinar. We are going to be asking for a lot of your input, a lot of your contributions. So it's not just going to be us talking to you, but we are going to have some great ways for you all to contribute in the course of this workshop. All right. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce Danielle Mounier, the IEA PVPS chair.
Please unmute Daniel.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. Yes. So thank you so much, Jordan. This is a great honor for me as a PVPS chair to introduce this session. Just as a reminder, PVPS is not made of 49 countries, but we are grouping more than 30 entities. And this is giving us the chance to have a very interesting international collaboration, and then permitting us to have such an event as today on a particular key and strategic topic for us, which is agri-PV, among others like green integration or a new use of solar PV energy. But then today I'm very happy because this is a very challenging work to group so many persons, experts in such a field, to interact and to collect information, present ideas, and then to go for building an output, which is a result we would like to obtain from this action group on agrivoltaics, preparing future actions, future program of research, future, let's say, work together on agri-PV. So I won't make longer, and I will give back the floor to Jordan on the marvelous team, which is now going to present and make you interfere and interact on the 3 topics today, this afternoon. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Danielle, for being here and for those welcoming remarks. All right, next I will go give you sort of an overview of what to expect today, a little bit of background on the Agrivoltaics Action Group, what to expect today, and also what to expect in the coming weeks and months going forward as we take all the information, all the insights we gather from today's workshop, and try to condense it and formulate it into something manageable and something that's digestible for us all. So Danielle gave a brief overview of what the IEA and the PVPS organizations are. And I think it's a very unique, very exciting organizational structure that really enables and allows for this international collaboration on a topic that is emerging and that is exciting, like agrivoltaics. And so IEA PVPS covers a wide array of different types of issues that are all related to PV, to solar energy, the energy sector. And they have a series of tasks. So you can see the 9 active tasks addressing different elements associated with PV systems. And you've got world-class researchers and scientists from all over the world contributing to these. One of the motivations, for creating the action group was that many of those individual tasks were already talking about agrivoltaics in different ways. So it was relevant in terms of markets. It was relevant in terms of sustainability. It was relevant in terms of reliability. And agrivoltaics was a topic that was discussed in multiple tasks. And we realized it was a relevant issue in all those areas. And we wanted to find a way to best coordinate our activities, not only within IEA PVPS, but also with the growing, burgeoning agrivoltaics research community that is represented on this call right now. And so with that, I think it was a novel creation of the action group. So we are not an official task within IEA PVPS, but we're an action group designed to unify and coordinate across the PVPS tasks, as well as allow us to integrate with global researchers who are not part of the IEA or PVPS, as well as other stakeholders like agricultural producers who are not even necessarily PV researchers. And so this novel platform, I think, has been a really exciting and a really effective mechanism for how we can make sure when we talk about agrivoltaics, we're really incorporating a wide, diverse array of stakeholders and perspectives in this. So we do have a website. You can check out our website and see a little bit about our work plan, our members, our coordination board, and as an overview for you all. Our action group is really broken down into 3 phases. The initial phase was us organizing, getting people together. We are in the second phase right now, which is hosting workshops, and we've already hosted 3 workshops. This is our 4th, which is a virtual only one, and we are really trying to gather insights and ideas and senses of priorities from stakeholders, from researchers, from other folks interested in agrivoltaics. From this, once we've hosted and conducted these workshops, we'll be in a much more of a process of synthesizing that information, developing key resources that are expressed, that are of interest by the community here, and doing publication and likely more informational webinars and much more along the lines of disseminating the resources that are informed by these workshops. The way that the action group is organized, the action group is led by myself and my colleague Alessandra Scognamiglio from Enea in Italy. She's unfortunately unable to be here today, but we work hand in hand in helping to organize the activities of the action group. And we also have an all-star cast with our coordination board representing representative folks from different organizations, different countries across the world, to help us stay aligned and really make sure we're staying in tune and in touch with what's happening in different parts of the world. So as I mentioned, our workshops are really designed to gather insights, gather priorities, see what are issues that are of most interest to you all, and how that can translate then into future research activities and research priorities. So we've hosted 2 thematic workshops, one on social sciences and landscapes and social perceptions of agrivoltaics, another one that was really directed on engaging and integrating the agriculture community. We have a cross-cutting workshop today, and there will be more. And that's, again, where we've greatly appreciated people's inputs in helping us really form and decide what are the topics we're going to cover next. So the very first workshop that we held was last June as part of the Agrivoltaics World Conference held in Denver, Colorado. That was we had more than 60 participants there. We talked about common terminology, research priorities, metrics, some of the start and the beginnings of what we're going to be speaking about in more detail today. But I think that was a great initiation. We had great contributions there. Our second workshop was held in conjunction with EU PVPS last September in Vienna. And this workshop was really focused on social science, public perceptions, landscape level impacts that we can see from agrivoltaics and solar projects. We had over 80 participants in that workshop. Again, really terrific discussion on a lot of these social science topics and how they integrate and interface with both PV deployment as well as agrivoltaics challenges and how agrivoltaics differs from traditional utility scale PV. Our third workshop was held in Japan as part of PVSec 35. And this was a really great opportunity to better incorporate agricultural perspectives, so agricultural organizations and researchers and practitioners, and really thinking about how should agrivoltaics research best interface with agricultural producers and realities on the farm for agrivoltaics practitioners. So really great insights from that as well. Many of you saw and responded to a survey that we sent out for us thinking about, great, we've hosted 3 workshops already. What's going to be of most value to you? So we sent around a survey. We had well over 75 responses to the survey, which is excellent participation. So thank you again for contributing to that. It has informed the discussion today, and it'll inform our future workshops. And just for those who haven't seen it or aren't aware, we had a series of I would say cross-cutting topics that are really talk about agrivoltaics as a whole, talk about research as a whole, talk about the system as a whole, and then another set of topics that are really more a deep dive into specific research areas. And so people voted on those. People that responded had great suggestions and nominations for people who could provide content or who could help lead discussions on this in future workshops. And so we will be reaching out to folks. As we've talked about, these top 3 issues are going to be the focus of our webinar today. So standardized terminology and definitions for agrivoltaics research, international collaboration and networks, as well as future IEA PVPS activities. As I mentioned in our Japan workshop, we covered many of these other topics down below. But what that means is for future workshops, we will likely be able to address some of these other cross-cutting topics or some of these other research-focused specific topics. And those workshops, I will say, might look a little bit different from this one. This one is very much focused on discussion, brainstorming. Some of these other ones might have a little bit more in terms of detailed presentation of the state of the science in these areas. So, workshop objectives for today. As I've mentioned, this is a brainstorming day. We are going to be talking about new ideas, voting on some topics, really, trying to generate some new thoughts and hopefully some consensus on where some goes to other workshops. This one we really are looking forward to your contributions. We are hoping to again narrow our focus on high priority issues and topics. We are also hoping to identify maybe some of you want to contribute in the future going forward, doing more activities. And this is also going to be the start of initiating more regular communication with interested researchers. So those of you that are on the call. So again, those are our 3 topics. What to expect from us in the future going forward. So after this workshop, what can you expect? We anticipate having a summary of this workshop and the outcomes ready in April, so we can share that more broadly with this community. We will also be sharing the next workshop details in April, which likely will happen in April or May. Again, on different topics. We might recruit some of you to help contribute to this. We will also, speaking of which, also during the spring, we might, be able to, if those of you that are interested in contributing more on finalizing some of these outputs or these reports, there's going to be opportunities to contribute. And as well as opportunities to review some of the publications, participate or listen in to some of these other webinars that we'll be hosting. And then we'll also be doing email updates, publications release. And I do want to say we do also have a LinkedIn page that you can join. I think once we get critical mass on that, we can start using that as a real networking platform for engaging with everybody and giving everyone else updates beyond just emails. So some logistics for the day. We're going to be discussing those 3 topics, 3 key topics that we mentioned. We will be using the Mural board platform to facilitate this discussion. If you've never used Mural board, don't worry. We will have an overview and a tutorial on how to use it. And each of those 3 topics will have its own unique Mural board. And for each of those 3 topics, we will have a brief overview presentation led by one of our agrivoltaics experts on the coordination board. And then there will be clear instructions, and then you'll be going to the Mural board for the actual conversation. As I know some of you might have to drop, we will leave the Mural boards open through the end of the week in case you have other ideas or other thoughts pop in your head and you want to make sure you get those ideas across. And just I'll close with some sort of rules or best practices for today. So I think everyone is muted right now. If you would like to say something, you can raise your hand in Zoom and be unmuted. Otherwise, if you have a question for the facilitators or the moderators, you can put that in the Q&A. If you'd like to share information with the broader group, with everyone else, you can use the chat for engaging with other participants. We are going to ask that you sort of keep this Zoom open at the same time as you open a Mural board on your computer. And just lastly, we don't need to be perfect today. We're not going to solve all of our issues today. We're still gathering ideas. We're just getting started. So if you have ideas, please share them. They don't need to be perfectly formed. That's sort of some of the next step as we further refine this. So, and then again, if you do have any challenges with Mural or Zoom, please just let us know and reach out to us directly. And of course, this will not be your only opportunity to contribute. As I mentioned before, there's many other opportunities to contribute going forward. So before we dive in, I just wanted to see if there is any immediate questions people might have. And again, you can put that in the Q&A or if you have. Otherwise, I'm not seeing anything. Otherwise, I think our next step for this is to pass it over to my colleague, James McCall, to give us a tutorial of the Mural boards that we'll be working with today. James?
Thanks, Jordan. Yes, as Jordan mentioned, my name is James McCall. I'm a colleague of his. So I'm going to put a link into chat. So feel free to go to this Mural board. This is kind of a test one that'll be very similar to the ones that we're just about to go through. And I'll kind of do a very brief tutorial of this if you're not familiar with the tool. Just making sure that we can see kind of this Mural screen, Jordan, that I'm sharing.
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so so for those not familiar with Mural, it's very similar to a lot of these other sharing sites in a way to kind of capture information. So the first big thing that I'm going to highlight is down here. If you see this like little square icon that has a star on it, one thing that you can do is you can actually get rid of all the other cursors. And so basically that's a way to kind of like basically make it kind of easier to say it. I see people are already kind of hopping in and just going for it. I love that. So that's like the first thing that a lot of people want to see. The other thing is that you can zoom in and out by using kind of the scroll wheel on your computer. If you're on a laptop, kind of the 2-finger kind of swipe. So that allows you to kind of zoom in and out to an area, or if you're very interested in seeing a topic and it looks small, you can click on it and you can click this like little eye right here and it zooms right into that. So most of the things are going to be here. You can just kind of type whatever into these kind of boxes. And in order to move it, there's this kind of move option up here. And so if people want to just kind of go ahead and give it a shot and basically kind of do that. So there's a couple ways to add stickies if you want to add something new. One is kind of come over to this pane on the left and you can kind of click and then it should add right on there and you should be able to move that around and then type. The other way is that you can just double click on the cursor and basically allows you to move everything around. And so kind of for like a lot of this, I think kind of in particular what Jordan mentioned was that I think with this many participants, this is going to be a little messy. And so I think it's the really just making sure that we're just kind of getting the form getting the function of the tool. So making sure that we're actually getting your ideas is more important than kind of how it looks. And so so I think just, yeah, basically kind of the just make sure that we're kind of hearing what you're saying and kind of put kind of stuff in here, and we will take the task of organizing everything later. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight was if you actually zoom into one of these, there's this little button right here, add reaction. So if there's something that someone has said, but you really like it, go ahead and add either like a thumbs up or like a plus, and that just kind of captures like, oh, I've seen this, I really like this. And yeah, and so it looks like a lot of people are kind of trying this out. I think the other thing we just wanted to highlight was if you're having issues and you really want an idea heard, please just toss it into chat, and we'll have our wonderful colleague Alexis is going to be monitoring that. We'll kind of communicate with either the organizers or at the board itself. So I think that's all I had, and I believe if there's any questions, please feel free to toss them in chat, as I mentioned, and I think I'm going to hand it off to Pietro now.
James, there was a quick question in the chat
Yep.
about repeating how to stop all the other arrows, all the 100 other arrows.
Yeah. I'll share again. So basically, if you come down here, there should be a square that has a star on it. That is your kind of person. If you click this show cursors button, you can then remove that, basically.
Great. Okay. Great. Thanks for that brief tutorial. So then our next part of the agenda is actually moving into our first discussion. So this will be a discussion on agrivoltaics terminology definitions led by our great colleague, Pietro Campana. So Pietro, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And can you hear me right?
Yep, loud and clear.
Great. And I suppose now you can also see my my screen, and also in a few seconds should be in full screen mode. Am I right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan, and thanks everyone for joining this this workshop. I'm going to talk about terminology and standard definition for agrivoltaics, and with a special focus on research purposes. And most of my presentation, I have to point out that this is basically based on content of an upcoming report. I think it should be published in a few hours or a few days, and it's a report developed under the International Energy Agency PV Power System Program, a subtask specific on agrivoltaics that was mentioned by Jordan. So let's start with
Pietro, We're not
Yes.
seeing the full screen mode yet. Just try the full screen mode again.
Aha, okay, so you don't see it yet. So
We see your slides, but not full screen.
okay. Then I suppose now you should see my full screen now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Perfect.
great, thank you. And sorry for this issue. So let's start with terminology. So the first thing I would like to discuss is about the concept. So we are used to use the word agrivoltaics, but what is the best or the right term to use in order to explain this concept? And what is the concept? Is the concept of collocating PV modules with agricultural practices. So what we did in the report that we mentioned, and especially this was part of a survey conducted by the Fraunhofer ISE. We've done a survey of what term has been used to express that concept of collocation of agriculture and PV in the scientific area, in the academic sector in the last years from 2015. And then you can see here some of the results of this survey. So you see that in 2015, one of the most common used term for expressing this concept was solar sharing. This is not this is quite clear. This is quite clear because solar sharing was the term used by one of the founder of the now called agrivoltaic sector, that was Akira Nagashima, with this book and also his test in Japan. And then we saw that over the years, the word agrivoltaic has took over. And again, the word agrivoltaic was a key word used for the first time by Christian Dupras, and I saw that Christian was here also in the list of attendees. So, hi, Christian. And it was used in his publication in 2011 to express this concept of combining electricity production from PV system and agricultural practice in the same area. And then we saw that over the years, this word agrivoltaic has been used more and more to express this concept that basically now is the most 90% of the research published is basically using this word to express this concept. So when it comes to terminology, it is very important, the terminology, because the sector is a relatively new sector, is growing at an extremely fast pace. So it's very important, the terminology, because we need to have clear terms in order to have a super efficient and also super transparent communication. And this term the terminology doesn't apply only on the overall concept, but also it can apply also to specific details. So this is our research facility. So I've been just trying to spark the discussion that we are going to have later on. How do we call, for instance, the land loss? That sometimes we call it land loss, sometimes we call it unused area, sometimes we call it in other ways. Or how do we call properly, in a very consistent way, for instance, the control plot, where we compare, for instance, the performance of the agrivoltaic system, the performance of the crop under the agrivoltaic system compared to open field, and so on and so forth. So you see that there are quite a lot of terms to express concept and also details that need to be defined in a very clear way, to have like a transparency, especially in research purposes. Another thing that we have been doing in this upcoming report is to look at the definition. It was not the aim of the contributors of this report to provide a definition, but it was more like our aim. The aim of our work was mostly to provide a review of definition, and also a review of definition and a review of principle used to define the agrivoltaic concept. So we found out that naturally the baseline definition for an agrivoltaic system is the collocation of agriculture and PV production in the same area. Then we also have defined or identified some key principles or key pillars for the definition of an agrivoltaic system that, as you know, might assume different type of configuration. As you can see here, for instance, in the right side of the slides, it can be overheads, can be combined with agriculture, combined with sheep grazing, combined with different type of crop, and so on and so forth. The main pillar or the main principle that we have been defined are four that we should consider them as principle or pillars that should be quantifiable and also measurable. And those were like increased land use efficiency, sharing light between photosynthesis and the PV modules, intensity of agricultural activities, and also synergies and interaction between the PV and the agricultural production. Again, as it is for the terminology, the definition, having a very clear definition of what an agrivoltaic system is, and now we can use the word agrivoltaics because we have seen that there's been somehow the word that is mostly commonly used. It's important to have a definition because, again, it's a new sector with new technologies or new system integration. There are or there can be quite a lot of different actors involved and sectors, and sometimes those sectors and actors, they might have a conflicting objective of conflicting priorities. So it's very important to to clearly define what an agrivoltaic system is. Again, it was not our aim to provide a definition, but we have been doing mostly like a review of the definition of agrivoltaic system, and we have been trying to categorize agrivoltaic definition in different categories, from a narrow definition of agrivoltaic system to a wide or broader definition of agrivoltaic system. This definition or this definition classification is based on the degree of fulfillment of those pillars that we have been I've been showing you in the previous slide. For instance, we could talk hours on these slides, but I will just give you like an example here. For instance, if we have an overhead system where it is an agrivoltaic system that is combined, for instance, specifically with crop production, we might have a very high degree of fulfillment when it comes to increase the land use efficiency, sharing light between photosynthesis and SPV. We have very high agricultural intensity, and also there is quite a lot of synergies between the PV production and the crop production. This is like what could be like a very narrow definition of agrivoltaic system. Vice versa, if you go like on the bottom of this graph where we have like a more broader definition of agrivoltaic system, here we can, for instance, include like ecovoltaics system where we look mostly like at biodiversity. And you can see, for instance, here on the graph that we have a lower level of land use efficiency, or we might have lower level of land use efficiency. We still have photosynthesis, but of course we will not have any kind of very high agricultural intensities, and also the synergies and the interaction might be lower or might be more difficult to measure. So this is the way when it comes to the definition, extremely important and crucial for this reason that have been explained. Then it's also another important aspect. It's about like the agrivoltaic system classification. And I suppose you have seen it quite a lot of time, this graph, so I will not spend so much time on describing, but it's how do we classify, once that we have defined what an agrivoltaic system is, and also agrivoltaic term is, and the agrivoltaic concept is, and the definition of this type of concept, how we classify them. We have open system or closed system, and then between open system we have different type of system, like interspace system, vertical system, or overhead system. And then we go down a little bit more into the technologies, not only the structure, like a fixed system, one-axis system, two-axis braking system, and so on and so forth, like going into, for instance, application, type of PV module, transparency of PV modules, and also agricultural products or activities. As I mentioned to you at the beginning, all those that I've been showing you in these few slides is part of a more comprehensive report that is going to be published extremely soon, and you might be able to find it by following this QR code or looking at the Task 13 Reliability and Performance of Photovoltaic System website, searching there. So when it comes to the discussion, our Mural discussion, we will try to answer in the next, if I recall well, 30 minutes, three main questions. Those are, for instance, the first one is, what are, according to you, the key terms that should be defined with the highest priority in the research or academic world? And I'll give you just here an example for the sake of starting the discussion or the brainstorming. For instance, how do we define the control plot or the control area? or should we use control plot or control area? We will take 6 to 10 minutes to try to answer this question, and we try to split those minutes in the first part where we brainstorm, and the last part, like the last 3 minutes or so, to somehow to try to summarize. And I will have a help of James and Alexis to also to organize the Murales in real time. Once we define those key terms, and I don't think we will go more than 10 or 15 key terms, at least for the sake of this presentation or workshop, sorry. We will discuss what are the key aspects for defining them. For instance, when it comes to the control plot, it could be like, for instance, the distance from the agrivoltaic system, or should be like the soil properties, or should we use, for instance, images to clearly define what a control plot should look like, or should be defined within agrivoltaic system, both the research or industrial type of system. Again, 16 minutes for answering this question, and the last 3 minutes try to summarize the brainstorming output. And then the last part of our brainstorming process connected with this presentation is about what could be the best process to define them. And same structure logistically. And here I've been reporting some examples. Should we use, for instance, a report, a scientific publication? Should we use like the website hosted by our Agrivoltaics Action Group in order to make those the result of this workshop broadly open to the community, especially to the agrivoltaic community? So this is you can find the QR code for this Mural board discussion here. I think Jordan or James, they are also going to share the link into the chat, and I would like to say thanks for your attention first, and I'm not sure if there are some questions for this part of the presentation of the brainstorming. Otherwise, we just jump into the Mural board.
Thank you, Pietro. All right, so we had a question, how to access the Mural board. So I think we'll put the Mural board in the chat again. Natalia put it, so you should be able to see it in the chat, and everyone can go there. And then I will also share my screen. If you're not able to access the Mural board, I'll share the screen of the Mural board, and you can also put other ideas in the chat if you'd like someone else to put them into the Mural board for you.
Okay, so Jordan, are you going to share, or I'm going to share it?
Yeah. I'll share.
Okay, thank you so much. So I can see from my screen that there is quite a lot of activities, and this is super great for the sake of this. And Jordan, it's very difficult for me to actually read it. Maybe I can open it on my screen. I'm not sure, James, if it's possible to zoom in. Or maybe
it is if you use the scroll wheel, or if you just click on something and then you click on the eye.
Okay.
There should be a zoom to selection button.
Okay.
And just in case anyone gets caught up trying to log in or sign up for an account to Mural, you can just click join as a visitor or enter as visitor, and that's easier.
Yes, and so, and also again, as James and Jordan, they pointed out, there is this thumb up option in order for you to vote if there is something already added by our colleagues or attendees in the board. Super great. Great. So we start to have quite a lot of interaction. So probably we are already above our, let's say, target of 10 or 15 keywords. But if I can mention something about the results so far, I think it's most of the important keywords seem to be like geometrical aspect or of the agrivoltaic system. Like for instance, there is quite a lot of things connected with, for instance, height, PV row spacing. Then of course there is quite a lot of things connected with. It's actually overwhelming to see so many people interacting at the same time. Is the other important things that are popping up, of course, is something connected with the soil aspect and the crop yield, cost of the PV system. So I think there is a very important keyword that has been mentioned. It's about maintenance versus agricultural activities. I think this is probably something maybe not only connected with the research activities, but also with policies. Of course, microclimate is another very important keyword. Which crop parameter to take in consideration? I think also another important, of course, is smart tracking. What do we mean with the smart tracking, and that should be defined. I think there are a lot of aspects of connected with the geometry of the agrivoltaic system, but of course connected also with the policies, like for instance, a ground coverage ratio. A lot of things also connected with irradiation or shadings. And Jordan, I think we might have much more engagement than what is expected. How do you think we should organize those one?
Well, that's great. I think that's a great sign. I think one thing we could do is we could maybe ask people to give a thumbs up or vote on certain topics if we wanted to define these or take it to the next step, or we can think about clustering. I think both are great. I mean, this is I love how much people are contributing and getting really great ideas. Yeah.
But Jordan, what about if let's say we stop adding things to the board, for instance, in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we start with the voting process, so at least we can more or less identify what are the most important aspects to consider or terms to consider. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So maybe we'll give people 1 minute, 60 seconds. Yeah. We'll count it down.
Seconds. Yep. Okay. So 60 seconds to add more ideas, and then we will start the voting process. I don't think. I think there are also some other aspects, of course. Maybe they're not specifically connected with the specific term. It's more like a research question. So maybe we can focus a little bit, try to narrow down a little bit on the concept.
All right, and the time is up.
Yes. So should we start with the okay, maybe stop to add new things. Maybe we can have like 2 minutes, so you can also have a better overview of whatever has been put in this board, and then you start this voting process, so that we can also have or we can select what are the 10, maximum 15 most important terms that we should use for this specific workshop to be defined.
Yep. Yeah. And James has put at the bottom here synthesized some of the key clusters or key concepts in that bottom list of about 10 there that I'm showing on the screen.
Okay, great, great. So maybe for everyone, if you could vote those one on the bottom of the board, and it's easier also to track them rather than try to track all of them in the board. It would be super overwhelming for everyone. Again, I think most of them the most important focus term that we found out is connected with the geometrical aspect of the system. Some of the key performance indicators that I think pop up quite a lot in different type of policies. Microclimate, very important in terms of like research, and also is an important aspect also in some policies.
Yeah, so it looks like we're seeing, some of the votes,
Yes.
especially on the design parameters, maybe crop yields, the classification system. I don't know, Pietro, if you want to, should we select a few of these to think about in the next board?
Jordan, do you want to have all of them, or we need to specify, or do you think it's better like we select only some of them? Or we just for everyone we discuss what could be like the best way to define them.
I think we can choose a subset of these to use as examples. I think eventually we will, get to all these, but given the time and I would say we can select just a couple for the next board and talk a little bit more about key characteristics of those.
So if it's okay, we just take the let's say the most voted one, the 2 or 3 most voted one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So then I will select the time parameters, crop yield and type, and agrivoltaic system classification. And the level land equivalent ratio. And James, do you know how to move them, or I should move one by one?
I believe that if you click, you can select several, or maybe not. Here, I can move them. Where do you want to move them to?
Okay, yes, yeah. If I can control, I can move them.
There you go.
And also, I can see that the part 2 of our brainstorming is already start to be filled by our attendees. Great, super great engagement.
Yeah, and as further guidance on this sort of the second round of these key characteristics of the definitions, we do want to be thinking about as we don't need you, or we're not asking you to give the official final perfect definition of these terms, but rather to think about what are the components you'd want represented, what are some of the characteristics you would want in these definitions of these terms.
And for everyone, I'm trying to remove what has been added before. So maybe what we can do is just you can add your opinion like a one by one, at least like a in parallel to the word that we want to define, in terms that we want to better define. So I'm trying to clean up a little bit the board. Okay. So now I suppose you should see that you have like those 4 or 5 key terms that has been defined as the most important one. So I have cleaned up a little bit the board. So if now you can start to add what are the key terms or the key aspects in order to define them, each of those or for all of those. For instance, I can add I will try the content, for instance, close to the land equivalent ratio, and here we can write, for instance, it could be, for instance, illustration. For instance, illustration to explain the concept. Great. So now we start to have feedback on this, on what would be the best way to define those. And is it possible to ask Jordan what some of the attendees meant with a specific suggestion? Or it will become too complicated for the sake of the workshop?
We could. This is your show right now, Pietro. Are there specific areas you'd want further insights or want someone to provide more detail on? If people want to share a little bit more, yeah, I mean, they can raise their hand and speak as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's we start to have extremely important input, like for instance on the land equivalent ratio, like universal definition of a reference PV system. I think this is extremely important. I think it's also connected with policies. Methodologies when it comes to crop yield to define the yield losses or grain yield. And should we go ahead with this process for other 3 minutes, and then we can try to summarize the output of this contribution of brainstorming?
Pietro, I would suggest we do another 60 seconds. So we'll do 1 more minute countdown, and
Okay.
then we'll go into that synthesis. So 60
Okay.
seconds and counting.
I think it's under the design parameters. I think there's been someone has been including also shading rate. I think it's extremely important. I think there is also sometimes some confusion in the published work of what is the shading rate. I think it's very important to define it. I'm not sure if the shading rate is actually a word to be defined rather than a process to define design parameters, but I think it's extremely important. There's been added another keyword is like environmental impact.
Okay, our minute is up, Pietro. Do you want to take a step back and think about what we're seeing here?
Yes, thank you so much, Jordan, for keeping the time and for helping keeping the time. So we started to have quite a lot of contribution here when it comes to these 4 or 5 keywords or key terms that we would like to better define. I think we had some of the most contribution when it comes to define parameters. I think we have been identified also previously is one of the most important things when it comes to also connected with policies. Shading rate, ground coverage rate again is popping up. Crop yield type, I think it should carefully define how we should account, for instance, for losses, but also not only like there's been like some comments. It's like we shouldn't also look at into yield losses, but also on yield quality. So that's opposed to this one, it was also another maybe keywords to be defined. Again, define what are the key parameters here when it comes to the land equivalent ratio. We pointed out before what is the most important. It's extremely important to define what is a reference system and also its yield in terms of productivity, crop yield productivity, and also PV productivity. Then we have agrivoltaic classification scheme, depending on, for instance, of type of farmland and also integration with agricultural practices, if we should consider or not climate protection. When it comes to cost and economic consideration, has been quite a lot of engagement, especially when it comes to social aspects of economy, levelized cost of electricity, economic performance, business model has been extremely important, and also main technique for assessing like key performance indicator. Probably is also important to define also like a methodology to define key performance indicators. So Jordan, I would suggest that maybe we stop. I'm not sure if we are on time or if we are a little bit delayed. I would suggest that we go on to the next phase. So we have been defined what are the key terms. We are defined what is the best way to define them, like what are the key aspects to define them, and then we go into output and processes. So what do you think is the best way to what would be the best way, the best process to define them? We provide them some example, like a report or website hosted by Action Group, but please vote what is already available, but please also provide some information that would be extremely important for disseminating the result of this survey, of these brainstorming activities. So repeat scientific publication, of course, is a way to disseminate and also to process those data. database repositories, online glossary. Great. I suppose the online glossary could be part of the action group, like outcome of the action group. Model validation, international collaboration important. There is also another important aspect. It's about updating the definition, like on a timeline basis, like has been proposed, like annual basis. Database of the agrivoltaic system. I think there are some activities that has been carried out by the National Renewable Energy Lab and also from OPERISE, and I think is part of the upcoming report. I think we'll talk about databases and some available databases for agrivoltaic system. GitHub repository, guidelines for policymakers, a white paper report. Jordan, how we are with the timing? We should give again 1 more minute and then we summarize.
Yeah. I think we'll give people 60 seconds, counting
Okay.
down now. Yeah, and then we'll have some brief synthesis, and then we'll move on to our second topic.
Good. And maybe we can stop now with the contribution, and we can have like 1 or 2 more minutes for voting what is already available in the board, so we can somehow narrow down what you think is the best idea to process those definitions. Would be great. So if you can use the voting option. But Jordan, if I can somehow summarize this part, I think one of the most recurrent, let's say, keyword for this output and process is again report, publication, database, gathering of case studies, website of the action group. I think those are like international collaboration scheme. I think those are the most preferred way to, let's say, summarize and also convey results. And Jordan, as you said, it's this mural will be open for, I think, 1 more week, so that if people they want to add more or contribute more, they still will be able to contribute. So I think I would like to thank everyone for all the great contribution for this part of the workshop, and I would like to give the floor maybe to the next speaker, Natalia.
All right. Well, thank you, Pietro, for all of that. I think that was great. We had, I think over 100 people all contributing, lots of great ideas. And for this activity, we just, narrowed it down to a very small subset. But in just looking through that, I mean, there's some terrific ideas that people have. So thank you, everyone, for chipping in and giving those great ideas. Yes. So, all right. So thank you everyone for your great ideas there. We're gonna now stop thinking about standardized terms and definitions and shift our focus more towards mechanisms for international collaboration and cooperation and collaboration. So with that, I will pass it now over to Natalia. So it's your turn.
So good morning or good afternoon from my side also. I trust you see my slides now.
Looks
Yes,
great.
that's
Yep.
great. Thanks.
Okay, and in a while I think the black box will go away at the bottom. Okay, so good afternoon, good morning, depending when you are. So in the next few slides, I will guide you through the items for the discussion on the topic on international networks and collaboration. I would like to mention that you will find some potential proposals that intend to guide and spark the discussion, but we would most likely like to have your input on them, but also explore other ideas that you may have. The mural that facilitates advancing the discussion includes some suggestions, but do feel free to propose also your own. So the first item we would like to focus on is the best formats for collaboration and networking. During the COVID period, the entire world moved to online discussions such as webinars and online panels and workshops. We're currently experiencing a hybrid period where online format is still present and in-person events are again being organized. Virtual and in-person, alongside engagement on social and professional media, are the main means of networking and may remain highly suitable, but we would like to know your views also on alternatives like collaborative research platforms, joint research publications, and exchange programs, fellowships, and partnerships. How could these fit in the agrivoltaics research, and are they valuable to advance collaboration? Do you see collaborative consortia and joint research proposals as an opportunity for collaboration enhancement? And do you have any other ideas or experience to share with us? But collaboration to what end? So question number 2 is related to the desired outcomes. Some of the questions here to ask would be, would you prioritize awareness and advocacy to highlight the importance of agrivoltaic research? Or maybe we should aim creating funding opportunities that will enable growth and innovation. Do you believe that business opportunities driving economic impact and fostering sustainable development are more relevant or even of higher importance for agrivoltaics research? Then collaboration and support are also identified as key parameters strengthening partnerships and advancing agrivoltaics. Coordination is very often highlighted as a fundamental factor. Would you streamline it as a highly significant and desired outcome to enhance efficiency across all initiatives? Would it be enough to continue with information, knowledge, and best practices exchange? And any other ideas? Next, on the third question, we would like to know which are the most appropriate networking platforms for agrivoltaics in your opinion. And more in particular, we would like your input on which ones you think this action group should use to maximize engagement and ensure inclusiveness. So just a summary on this last slide, you can see the questions to address in this topic, and you can either access the mural with the link sent just before this presentation, or by scanning the QR code on the left side, and you can insert your answers. You can also, as already said, use the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand to speak. So just the practical information, we will spend approximately 10 minutes on the first two questions and 5 minutes on the third one. Okay, so I will stop sharing now. And maybe Jordan, you can share again the mural as you did before. Okay.
Great. And
We
so
have
people
lots of
can vote on
webbing.
the things that already exist, right? Or they can add new ideas. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. They can vote, or they can add their own ideas or more specific ideas. Because on this mural, we put some general categories. So webinars are quite famous. It is true that they offer flexibility, online activities, publications. Agrivoltaic wine tastings, I like that one. I still don't see much on social or professional media. I mean, we've mentioned already the IEA, Jordan mentioned the IEA PVPS LinkedIn group of this action group. EU PVSec. A database of agrivoltaic research projects. Okay, so I can see UPVSec in the conferences. It's a more specific suggestion, but what about other type of conferences? Maybe on different industry. Would it make sense also agricultural conferences? So research consortia and collaborative projects and platforms, a lot of exchange of scientists and students. Technical visits as well.
Somebody in the chat has kindly apologized for accidentally erasing some content from the top left box. Hopefully it's now been put back in by someone. Thanks for that.
Okay, so the database of agrivoltaic research projects is way on top. Okay, so here in this topic, we don't need to prioritize as in the previous one for definitions. So we're not going to select the most famous ones to proceed, but we will refer to the most preferred later on. Okay, so from what I can see, there is a very high interest in a database of agrivoltaic research projects, exchanging and previews to facilitate future partnerships. Also, conferences, workshops, site visits, and training sessions are of high importance. Technical site visits. The most famous conference, EU PVSec, and a little bit newer one, the World Agri-PV Conference. Student exchange and collaborative research platforms. And of course, the benefits of working on agrivoltaics on vineyards, so wine tastings. So considering also the time, and since this will stay on for the whole week, maybe we can go to the next one that I see you have already been there. What do you want to get out of these collaborations? So connect farmers, developer, and researchers to enable pilot projects. So inclusiveness of all industries for the same purpose. Collaborative development on open source softwares, very important. Research collaboration opportunities. Transfer knowledge to facilitate efficient use of resources. Developing crop and shading model and its validation. Multidisciplinary connection. Financial benefits. Policy insights has come up. Another business-oriented comment on how to make efficient business case for agrivoltaics. There is somebody thinking the big picture of optimizing the whole agrivoltaic supply chain. Protocols for measurements used as input for crop modeling. Advancing interdisciplinary connections, putting together agricultural scientists with PV scientists, best practices. Okay, so research collaboration opportunities are quite important. And then we have the connecting farmers, developers, and researchers to enable pilot projects, followed by collaborative development of open source softwares. Sorry, I need to move some post-its to see. Okay, so a lot of need for interdisciplinary collaboration. You put it in different words, in different post-its, maybe in different parts of the agrivoltaic system. However, it comes up as a highly important outcome. Okay, so maybe now we can move to the third question, which is a bit more practical. So more specifically, which do you think are the best platforms that the action group should aim for in its work? Okay, Horizon Europe is not actually, it's not actually what we've had in mind, but it could be in terms of funding. National policymakers and researchers in the same space. That sounds logical. LinkedIn remains the highest. So I'm guessing the IEA PVPS Action Group of Agrivoltaics will grow in numbers in LinkedIn. Local congresses also in general, which sounds logical as there are a lot of regional policy making offices. GitHub also. That's really interesting. I'm not sure whether it exists already. Emily, PVPS, monthly or weekly podcast?
That's a great idea. We've been having a monthly LinkedIn newsletter, and we've been starting to do some short interviews on LinkedIn. But yeah, a podcast, great.
The Inspire project from Mural. I'm sorry, I'm just curious, would the person who wrote local UMGs, could you define the acronym, the abbreviation? I'm not familiar. User group meetings. Mm-hmm. It's true, Instagram and YouTube are gaining a lot of attention also in the scientific field. A dedicated website. Okay, so working groups of public and private partners with institutions of higher education to focus on regional priorities and share feedback to national and international groups. That pretty much includes everything, which would be the dream case, no?
Just keeping an eye
Okay,
on the time, Natalia.
yes, I
Thank you.
was about to
Oh, perfect.
summarize this one. So a lot of LinkedIn, as already mentioned. Some people are suggesting a bit more on social media. A public web platform specifically designed for agrivoltaics information. The PVPS podcasts. And of course, targeting working groups that involve policymakers, whether at regional or a national level. Okay, so this was very interesting and enlightening. And I think I pretty much did my summary after each question. So unless you would like another summary of all of them from the beginning to the end, I think we can go on to the third topic about future priorities for the Agrivoltaics Action Group.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Natalia, for walking us through that. And again, terrific contributions and ideas and thoughts that everyone from this workshop has included in there. I think this was a really robust set of topics. So thank you again. All right, and like I've said, this board will remain open the rest of the week. There's more opportunities to contribute to that. So our last topic that we will be discussing is the future PVPS activities. So in this area, so in this particular topic, what we want to be thinking about is, the IEA. We gave you the background of what the IEA and the PVPS can do, and some of their, the capabilities we have in engaging, coordinating, collaborating across different countries, across different geographies. So, what we want to do in this last round is think about what could be some unique things that the PVPS Agrivoltaics Action Group could do. So these might be things that, an organization or research organization from one country might not be able to do, but because we are an established international collaborative, what are some things that we could actually do that no one else could do? And I think that's how we want to be thinking about prioritizing, and really leveraging the opportunity that we have here, since we are able to engage and we have this existing network for collaborating with people. What are going to be the most high value activities as well as research topics that we can focus on? So in the chat, I think we can share the thank you. We have shared the the mural board for the third topic. So I will go there myself. Let me share the screen again. Great. So our first, the first topic we're going to be covering is, what are the most useful activities? So it could be things like hosting webinars. It could be things like performing research. It could be things like some of the other suggestions that we saw in the last 2 rounds, like helping to define terms, or maybe hosting this database of research projects and researchers that are across the that are going on across the globe. So here, I think this first question is going to be really broad in scope, and we want you to be creative and think about what can we do with this platform. Our second question is going to focus more on research topics specifically. So we are, IEA and the PVPS does a great amount of research, and so the second question we'll get to will be focused on research. But this first question can be a little bit broader in scope, and you can think about things even beyond research that we might see. So we'll give folks a few minutes. We're not going to spend as much time on each of these topics to make sure we have enough time to close out. But I'm already seeing a great number of topics added here. Okay, I'm seeing things like international best practices, consolidating data from across different countries on this, hosting events, a newsletter or maybe a listserv on this. Ooh, a live cast of sheep below PV panels. We could have sheep from all continents, all time zones represented underneath solar panels that you can always see. That's a great idea. All right, surveys, disseminating knowledge, providing techno-economic parameters. Good. Great. Concise summaries of agrivoltaic activities, both research as well as demonstration. I think also probably commercial projects would be good. Sharing data. Ooh, harmonization of software. I think that's an issue that has emerged recently. That's great. Great suggestion. Best practices, another one. Okay, even documenting current practices in different regions. So getting at some of those regional variations. I think that's something that's been also very important, is appreciating the differences in agricultural practices as well as solar development practices that differ by region. Stakeholder workshops, great. Global maps. I'm seeing a couple ideas about making sure we have sort of honest, clear data and results. So not just showing great results, but there's going to be trade-offs, pros, cons, yield trade-offs, cost trade-offs, performance trade-offs, being a place for that. Those are great suggestions. Neutral objective body. All right, well, maybe we'll give folks 1 more minute, so 60 more seconds to go on this one before we transition to our research question. So trainings is an interesting idea too, and student challenges, great. I'm very impressed. I think everybody's doing such a great job of adding so many ideas. I knew looking at the attendee list, the participant list, we had a great crowd, and I want to say I really appreciate everyone chiming in and chipping in with such great ideas. All right, and with that, all right, we'll stop the timer on that one, and we can move on to our second topic, which is the IEA PVPS also can conduct new original research. It oftentimes involves collaboration across jurisdictions, across 2 different countries. There's an incredible amount of great scientific work that PVPS has done over the years. And so again, I think our request and our challenge here is for you to think about, given the unique capabilities and the unique reach and structure of PVPS, what are specific research topics that you think might be most valuable? And I think on the last one, we already saw some, maybe some comparisons across geographies. Here we can also talk about specific research topics. Okay. Safety guidance, crop yield forecasting for different shading models. That's good. Couple recommendations on safety. Yeah, soil impacts, business models and use cases across different regions and different markets. I think it's been really interesting. Sustainable development goals. Simulations on both related to PV and plant growth. That sounded great. Policy and regulatory frameworks, and likely a comparison across jurisdictions. We've seen something on optimizing PV technologies with different crops. I think that would also include the particular region in which you're in. Long-term effects, right? Social science, regulatory issues. Spatial potential. A roadmap for large-scale agrivoltaic installations, great. Ooh, technology demonstration. Discussion about barriers, also very important. Sensitivity analysis for understanding crop impacts. I think that ties into crop yield projections. That's great. Ooh, AI. This might be the first. Is this the first time we've seen AI? Maybe I just missed it earlier, but I'm surprised that hasn't been more popular. Impacts of hail, dust, soiling. Okay, great. Okay, well, maybe do 1 more minute here and then we'll move on. Ooh, the intersection of social science with ecosystem sciences. That's a great cross-cutting, multidisciplinary approach. Ooh, some standardized hypotheses maybe that we could be doing, or even getting at some research questions. That's great. Okay, ton of great ideas. This is good. I love these ideas. I think they're definitely expanding the box, expanding the sort of our conception of what might be even in scope for PVPS, and I think that's terrific. All right, but let's move on to the our third and final question here, which I think this is a very open-ended question, but I think it's very important, and I think this is going to help us make future workshops better. It's going to help us make them more relevant. But this is, what did we miss in today's workshop? What do you wish we would have covered that we didn't cover? Or what do you wish we cover in future workshops? How could we improve this? What are the questions we did not ask you that you wish we did? Right. Great. Concerns about greenwashing, excellent, or sheepwashing, very good. Storage systems, snow impacts. Again, AI again. Okay, looking at risks, fire risks, also very important. Looks like training farmers, so that maybe some sort of workforce development or training or certification programs I could see. Safety, again. Social acceptance, very good. Ooh, hydrogen interactions, climate robustness. And again, you can think broadly on this in terms of any topic, any approach, anything on your mind that we haven't addressed yet, or you haven't seen today, or in past workshops that you think would be really crucial. I think that's what we're looking for. I think this organization, the action group is only as good as the people that are contributing to it and that are a part of it, and the effort and ideas people bring. So this is your chance. Ooh, South collaboration, great. Greenhouses and its connection to BIPV. Digital twins, excellent. Okay, and thinking about differences in needs, opportunities, barriers, markets, even how things look across geographies and countries, how to normalize that or sort of harmonize that. I think that's a great suggestion too. All right, then maybe we'll give another 1 minute. Robotics, that's another emerging area that's very interesting. Good to see that. System losses from soiling and other activities, shading. Cost, economics, and market differences across geographies. Microgrids. Fertilizer production coupled with agri-PV. Ooh, looking at climate impacts with RCP models. User experiences of agrivoltaic farmers. That's great. Okay, and as a reminder, this will still remain up through the rest of the week. If you can't sleep tonight, and a great idea pops in your head, you can put it on here. That's what the purpose is. I know it is already late for many of our colleagues in Australia, in Asia. I saw we have folks from Korea, Taiwan, all over. We've got. I know it's late for some. The day is just beginning for other people on this. So again, we want this extended through the rest of the week, just so we make sure you have the time when it works with your schedule to add in some ideas. Great. But why don't we pause there? And we'll close out now. And I think this is a good opportunity. It'd be great if Natalia, Pietro, Emily, James, Alexis, other folks, if you wanted to come back on camera. We just want to close out by saying, thank you. Thank you so much for everyone's persistent contributions in this, through all the mural boards. I know we had some challenges. I think we overcame them, and we did, I think, a fantastic job of really bringing together a wide diversity of ideas. And James did some great real-time updating, organizing on some of this. And Alexis did a great job of addressing challenges and questions in the chat. And then Emily, obviously, the grand architect behind all of this. So thank you everyone for that. Everyone on the call for your contributions. Just as a reminder of what to expect going forward. So we have more ideas than I think we thought we were going to get, but that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. We will still aim to have a nice synthesis and summary of this and share this with everyone later in April. Also at that time, you should be hearing a little bit more about our next workshop. As we mentioned, our next workshop might be more laser focused on specific research topics. There's going to be more opportunities for you participants to join and potentially contribute more to that. Also, as part of this, we are going to be looking if there's a particular topic you're very passionate about, something you think you've got more to contribute. We'd love to sort of welcome you to into the fold and start. We can start working on maybe some joint activities or joint products that we can all do together. So with this, I think we also had some great recommendations on how you want to be contacted in the future. I think you can expect some more email updates. If you can join, if you're able to and interested, you can join our LinkedIn group. We'll also be posting updates there. And then again, there's also going to be opportunities for you to sort of see some of the products that come out of this through reviews and other opportunities. So with that, I think we have had. I will declare this workshop a success. I loved all the contributions made from everybody. Thank you so much for that. If there's any questions, any issues, feel free to directly reach out to us. Alessandra and I would be happy to chat with you more about what we're doing with the action group, how you can get more involved. So if anyone has anything else they would like to say, please say it now. Otherwise, I will say thank you once again. Hope you have a great rest of your day or a good night. And thanks once again. Look out for an update from us soon. Emily, any last thoughts, Emily?
Just someone asked the question, could you please post the link to the LinkedIn group in the chat? Someone asked. But I'll send it around also in the follow-up email. Thank you.
Wonderful. We will do that. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Goodbye, and have a great day.